Welcome to Building Toronto's Skyline, a podcast exploring the current state of Toronto's condominium industry from a unique construction perspective through engaging and entertaining podcast interviews with the many stakeholders in the industry. This podcast is brought to you by Fusion Corp, a construction management company. Here's the founder and CEO of Fusion Corp Developments Incorporated and author of Building Toronto Skyline and Battle of the Skyscrapers, the host of this podcast, Nick Ainis.
Wow. What a great introduction. I always fall in love with it every time.
Is that your favorite one yet?
Yeah, I didn't know you were going to throw in that other book, Battle of the Skyscrapers.
Well,
It's news to me.
I've been reading it, and it's fantastic.
Oh, you read it?
Yeah.
You bought it?
Yeah.
Or you're lying? You're lying.
It's right here. It's right here. Do not look at the
that's the other
man
one.
behind the curtain.
Okay. Yeah, we caught you.
How is Miami? You're back in the colder climes of the
Miami.
GTA.
Well, I got to say, I might write another book, Building Miami Skyline. It was amazing. You see the wealth in South Florida. I got to explore the greater Miami metropolitan area. Very nice, amazing condo buildings, especially on Ocean Drive. And they're doing a lot of great stuff over there. And I think people are happy because it's nice and warm all the time. And then I came back here, but it's good. It's all good.
Are you glad to be back, or do you wish you were still there?
I'm always glad to be back. I love to work. I love Toronto. We love Canada. What can I say? We're going to talk about Canada too, probably today with Rod.
Sure.
Rod, so tell me, how did you meet Rod?
So we have Rod Rowbotham, CEO, President, Principal Architect of onespace Unlimited. I've known Rod for many years. And we always push and try to work together on some projects here and there. We did one amazing project together, which we're going to get into later. We'll get into a few of those projects. But I think I met Rod because I needed an architect for a project, and we saw this guy. He was so good looking. We said, "Let's get him."
Yeah, it was a project on the Danforth, wasn't it? It started out as a pub.
Yeah, so we did Carmelina condos, and you guys did. The developer hired you to do the pub, the Firkin on
right.
Danforth.
Yeah, that's it. That's how
it's a Firkin pub.
Yeah,
that's how. Yeah, but I think we met before then.
Could have.
Yeah,
I remember.
I actually hired. Sorry, go ahead.
I think you came to my office, and you and Jim came to my office, and we got introduced that way.
Yes, and I think we were going to get you on a affordable housing project with Ed Starr. It was on the lakeshore.
Oh yeah,
and we asked you for a proposal there.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Too many years. Too many years have passed. And we missed all this amazing conversation about golf.
Yeah.
And some other things before the show started. But let's thank you for joining us today, Rod.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I mean, to participate in something with you is great.
Yeah, thank you.
Big famous author now. So.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I know. I'm still trying to figure that one out. And here's the book.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Is it on video? Here we go. Is this your copy?
That's my copy.
Oh, it's signed. I was going to give it to Rod.
Nick, are any of my buildings in there? Or?
Do you have a copy of the book?
I don't have it yet.
Okay, I have one in the car.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I'm going to give you one.
Are you going to autograph it for Rod?
That would be excellent.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Decreases the value,
Yeah, no, I decreases the value. Sure.
That's too bad. Yeah.
Guys, it's not a team up session yet.
Oh, okay.
But I see where this is going.
Yeah, go ahead.
So tell us a little bit. So I looked up your profile on LinkedIn, obviously. I do a little bit of research here. You got a big message statement about the president and what he does and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us? We know each other for many years. We worked on some amazing projects together. The first major project we did was the one in Port Dalhousie, the Harbor Club.
That's right.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Our work together was fun for sure. There may be some aspects that weren't fun. We're not going to get into that today, but We did the work. We did the job with Valor Group.
Yep, that's right.
And it was a conversion project. We converted the old Lincoln Fabrics building to an amazing 120 loft condo building. Stunning views of the water and amazing amenities, and but it never quite went off the ground. And I guess due to COVID and the cost of where things were at, it still hasn't started. But I think they're going to start soon. And it was a good experience, and a lot of research went into that project. So that's one thing that we did. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, get into, where you're from. I've just found out recently you were from Belleville.
That's right, yeah. I was born in Belleville in 1963.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the days when you could leave your doors unlocked at night. And in Belleville, a lot of people did.
Oh, wow.
When I was 16, the family picked up and moved to Toronto. My dad had a business opportunity here. So in 1979, we moved here. And I'll never forget that drive because, of course, we had two cars, and I was just 16 years old. And he's in his car, and I'm in Mom's car driving it right behind him. And he said, listen, you're going to have to stay really close to me all the way to Toronto because when you get there, it's going to get busy as hell. So here we are getting near Pickering, and I'm getting closer and closer to the bumper of his car. And finally, when we get to the new house we moved into in Etobicoke, he said, "I didn't mean that close."
Okay.
So it was.
So where you were in Etobicoke? You grew up in Etobicoke?
Yeah, from 16 until I don't know when did I get married at 25.
Where did you grow up in Etobicoke?
Markland Woods.
Markland Woods. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's near
Cloverdale, right?
Yeah, Cloverdale Mall. Well, Burnham Thorpe, Mill Road. All
yeah,
that.
Nice. I had friends there many years.
Yeah.
We used to hang out and party there.
Yeah, well, that was Silverthorne Collegiate. That was the high school back then, and well, I think it's still there.
That's the way it was.
Yeah,
back then in the Etobicoke days.
And a lot of my friends I still have from that old crowd.
Nice.
Yeah, so moved here in 79 and very happy to move here. I don't think my sisters were too crazy about it at the time because I was the oldest, of course. And, once you get a license in Belleville, you're done, right? You can see the whole place in about 10 minutes. So you can't stay there.
You're supposed to say Belleville was an amazing place to grow up.
It is. I had a lot of great times there when I was a little kid. But I mean, honestly, once you get to the age where you can see everything in 10 minutes, you go, this is not really that
You can
big.
only watch so many OHL hockey games.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
that's right. The Belleville Bulls and all those
because
guys.
you're a Toronto Mike.
Well, listen, Belleville Bulls, entertaining team, but that's pretty much it in Belleville, right?
Yeah, it really
Have you been to Belleville?
Yeah.
How many times?
Not as many times as you, I bet, but it's a nice little stopover kind of deal. But,
no, listen, you know what? These small, these smaller towns are getting bigger and bigger and bigger as they should. Mm-hmm. They're getting more development, and we're actually doing a project together in Belleville, slowly but surely.
Yeah, well, I'm actually really, delighted to do that because I have so many relatives that are still there and they watch me from afar in Toronto and they follow all of our social media and now they're kind of I guess giggling about the fact that I'm doing something.
You're back in Belleville.
Yeah, but it to me it's almost an honor to get to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it means something a little bit more than building where you didn't grow up, I guess maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So you were 25. That's where we left it off. 25.
25. And graduated from what was once Ryerson, now Toronto. What's it called?
I still call it
Toronto Metropolitan University.
Yeah, that's it.
I still call it Ryerson.
So do I, but I guess we're not supposed to. But anyway, TMU.
I think people don't mind if you call it Ryerson.
Yeah.
Ryerson people don't.
No, they don't. They get it. So went there for 4 years, graduated in 1986, and then went to University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
Nice.
And that's where I got to be a football fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The Wolverines,
yeah.
I went to one of their games, actually. Because Dave Arsenal, I think.
Yeah. And you survived it.
I survived it, yeah. I went to, we stopped off in Detroit. Windsor.
Yeah.
Stayed at the casino, and then we drove down for the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I went there for 2 years, came home, got married, did all the stuff you're supposed to do.
Oh. How did that go?
Well, it's still going, so I don't know. I hope she doesn't listen to this.
Well, she.
I'm going to send her the file.
We have her on speed dial. We have her on speed dial.
No, okay. I met my wife when she was 15. I was 18, so yeah.
Oh my God!
Pretty hard to shock her with anything. So
I don't even want to go there.
Yeah, even if I shocked her with some news here, she would go, "Yeah, I knew that."
Oh, that's amazing. So you guys have been together ever since a young age. That's amazing.
Yeah, we grew up.
We call that your ride or die. This is the lifer.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very consistent when I get into something. Like I said to myself at a young age, I want to be an architect. Okay, I got that done. And then I said when I graduated, started my first job at Page and Steel.
Yeah,
I was there 11 years, and I think by year 8, I said, I really want to do this for myself, and I did.
Right.
So I'm just really consistent in the things that I plan.
Once you do something, you stick with it too.
Yeah, you just execute and stay there.
Yeah, so. that's kind of what I do too, but for good or for worse as well. So you worked at Page and Steel. You did some freelance work for a couple of years. You worked at the Forest Group. Who's the Forest Group?
The Forest Group was a consultant team led by Bob Forrest. And,
oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, and Bob, I just spoke to him about a year ago. Actually, just caught up to speed with where he's at these days. And they were doing a lot of development in the city of Toronto with Rockport.
Yeah,
and I think it's the Van Maren Group. They're out of Western Canada. And that was great because I was their in-house architect. For I guess it was 2-3 years from '97 until 2000. And
they're a developer.
Yeah. They sort of assemble the land, assemble the whole team, put the package together. So they really lead the development.
Yeah, in-house architect. That's what it says.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then Atkins Group?
Well, Atkins Group was the name of onespace before 2008.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a phone call one day. So this is kind of a funny story because, for 11 years I was at Page and Steel. You get to meet a lot of people. And one of the guys I met there, Roy Turner, left before I did. And he said, he called me one day, and I was at the Forest Group. And he said, these guys that started the company, they want to retire. And I'm looking for somebody to help me take over. And I just paused for a second. I said, I'll do it.
Wow.
Well, because I had not only the work with Bob Forrest guys, but I also had a condo with Camrost. And it was, 24 stories, and it was just by myself. So I was kind of desperate to have support staff. Mm-hmm. And so I jumped at the opportunity and made that decision and, on my usual pattern, committed to it and stayed there. Been there for 25 years now.
Wow, that's a pretty exciting story. And then you had a partner originally?
I had 3 partners originally. Yeah.
At Atkins?
At when it was Atkins, there was 3 of us at the beginning that bought the company. A 4th joined us later on. And then everybody went their separate ways, and I'm the only guy left standing. But originally there were 2 partners in Atkins that we bought out in 2000. Mm. And then in 2008, I got this funny phone call from W.S. Atkins in England. And they said...
don't use our name.
Yeah, okay, don't use it. Yeah, that's what they said. They said, listen, we're coming to Canada, and we want to use the name. And I said, well... it's like that scene from Monty Python when they come to your door and they want to take your liver, and I'm still using it. You know what I mean? Like I was, well, we're using it. And they said, well, that's okay, but so. Wow. And then the recession hit, and they never showed up. But I thought, well, okay, why don't we take the opportunity to take a look at the company name and maybe change it up, because traditionally, professional service firms are always named after somebody's name.
Yeah.
Well. When Brian Atkins was bought out, his legacy was bought out, right? So he wasn't a part of the story, and the work that we were doing wasn't the same.
Of course.
So I went home, and I remember it was a Sunday, a winter Sunday morning, and nobody else was up yet in the house. I'm downstairs in the den thinking about a new name, and I thought, what is this thing?
What is it? Yeah.
And at that time, we had, by 2008, we had interior design in-house. And I said, well, I don't know. We're just architects and interior designers working together in one space. I mean, that's really what it is. And I went, oh,
Just
okay.
the
Wait.
light bulb went off.
When you tell people that story, they go, what, that's it? And I go, well, yeah. But then it started to take on a different meaning. It's like, that one space between, I guess you could say the space and the table between a client and you. That's the one space you share. Where you collaborate. You can get into a whole bunch.
You can get into the sort of philosophy or geometrics of a building. One space, meaning one building or one whatever. Yeah. Unlimited. And when did you add the unlimited part?
We did that right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that right at the beginning.
Without limitations.
Apparently.
Well, in architecture, you always have limitations.
And you should.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
You should.
All right. Well, that's a great story and amazing story. And you've been so when did you become the sole principal? And I think you have one partner now.
No.
Oh, what about Don? He's an associate?
Don's a vice president.
Vice president. Poor Don.
Yeah. Don. Yeah, Don, he's got broad shoulders. He really does contribute a fantastic amount of energy and effort to the company. He's very even-keeled, stable, good decision-maker kind of guy.
And his name is Don, and I'm just going to say it again. Don Affretti. He calls it Affretti, right?
Jafretta. Yeah. We're all Italian up there, even me. Yeah. Even if you're not Italian, you're Italian at one space.
Well, look where you went, right? with the Italians.
That's right.
So, okay, that's great. So you're the full sole. You have been for many years.
I would say probably it's probably close to 10 years by now.
That's great. Good to hear.
Yeah.
And how do you feel? What happened to all those other guys? Did they become like super successful? Or are they now deadbeats and, you see them at the liquor store?
Well, that's where you see all the architects.
Say, I'll draw a building for you for whiskey.
Well, I think, everyone everyone finds their own appetite for business ownership.
Yeah.
And some people just don't
have
like it. Well, listen, if we were all going to be business owners, none of us would be employees. Okay, so it's not for everybody. You go to bed with risk. You wake up with risk. You got to constantly be on your game. You got to have an energy level to lead. You got to have a lot of stuff that's there every single day, and it's in abundance. And you cannot walk in looking like you're not interested because nobody will follow you. Yeah, you really have to be of a certain breed. My father was an entrepreneur, had his own business, and I guess I learned it at his knee. Watching him do it, like from '79 when he moved here, he became his own business owner.
Right.
So I kind of had it by chemistry.
You had it in the blood.
Yeah, and I'm stubborn and tenacious. So those things all in combination ended up leaving me where I am today. But
that's great.
Denis retired. Denis Rioux just retired probably about, I'm going to say 2017. He's not really retired. He just slows down.
Okay.
2017,
that's
2016, good. I think right around the time when the final purchase was made. But he comes in every day, does this thing. I'm hoping not to do it at his age. I really don't want to come in every day anymore because, believe it or not, I do have other things I want to do with my life.
Really? And back to golf.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, see, golf would be great.
Golf is, I only golf because of business. But great story, and thanks for sharing that with us. Why didn't you say something about Art Vandelay? I'm very disappointed.
I'm worried I'm going to that well too often.
Art Vandelay?
Yeah, the Art Vandelay well. Like I can't, every time an architect is in this studio, I'm going to mention Art Vandelay because you talk to many architects.
Who is this?
Art Vandelay is the fictional
You don't know
persona.
Wait, hang on.
All right. Go ahead.
I don't know.
You don't know Art Vandelay?
He's cooking.
Well,
you don't know Art Vandelay, the famous architect Art Vandelay.
I'm afraid to answer the question now.
Well, this tells me you don't watch Seinfeld.
Oh, no, I do not. You know what? I don't watch a lot of
TV.
Yeah. Well, no, I watch movies and stuff, but I don't watch a lot of
Seinfeld.
No.
You weren't glued to NBC on Thursday nights in the 90s.
I heard this story about the famous I'm an architect guy.
Yeah, that's George Costanza, whose persona he wanted to be. So he has this fictional persona, Art Vandelay,
the architect.
who's an architect.
People have a lot of preconceived notions about architects. It's quite entertaining.
Can I ask you about that? Because I grew, like all of us, in syndication. Well, maybe not you. You don't watch any TV, but maybe back in the day you did. But the Brady Bunch. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So Mike Brady was an architect, and he'd be in his office, and he'd have like, I don't know, blueprints in front of him.
Yeah.
And you have to, like, watching that show, you're like, I want to be an architect. Like, I'm sure George Costanza watched the Brady Bunch, and it's like, I want to be like Mike Brady.
Oh my God.
So is it like that? You're in this office, you got like blueprints in front of you, you roll up these papers.
Well, we don't use blueprints anymore as much.
No.
Mostly electronic drawings.
Right. They romanticize it quite a bit. Movies and TV romanticize the professional. I think they do the same thing with lawyers too. You know, I think that's where that.
I think Art Vandelay is calling Nick right now.
He's probably calling down.
Art, hold the line. Hold the line.
Well, it's not Mike Brady. I think he passed.
Yeah, no, but they romanticize the profession. They put us in front of these blueprints and drawings and things like that. And they make us look like these omnipotent beings that have master over everything.
You're not omnipotent.
No. It's just.
Well, it's not the architects from the old. I guess pre the 1800s. Geez. People are calling me.
You got a mute on that laptop, Mr.
People
Ainis?
are calling me on WhatsApp. Yeah, I'll mute it.
Oh yeah, you're in high demand. Well, either that or they're planning the weekend for you. Then.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I want to get right in. We've talked about architecture. We've talked about your history. This is great and very entertaining, very informative. So I want to get right into it.
Okay, get right into it.
The state of the market right now.
Oh boy. Okay.
Let's hear your opinion because you work for a lot of developers, and I'm sure you're seeing it from many angles. You're a diversified company, so that you don't just work in the condo sector.
Yeah.
But let's hear about it because this is really important. What is the state of the market right now? And it doesn't look very good, but you go ahead.
Okay, well, I've read all kinds of opinions on this over the last 6 months, 8 months, and listened to people, real estate agents that I know and so on, and developers that I know, and they're all talking the same thing. What's at the heart of this is the market is not there right now, meaning us, people who want to buy. It's just not there right now.
Yeah.
So you go, okay, well, what's stopping somebody from buying anything? All right, well, first of all, the product that you're buying is the most expensive thing you're ever going to purchase in your life. It's a home. It's a home. It's a single family. It's a detached. It's a townhouse. It's a condo. It doesn't matter. It's the most expensive thing you're ever going to buy. So right off the top, you have to pre-plan. You have to think it through financially and make sure that you're ready for it. Okay? So what's stopping people from doing that? Fear.
Yeah, I think it's fear and uncertainty.
Fear and uncertainty. We got all kinds of negative social media every single day. Even the nightly news is a TV program. It is designed to get your attention so you don't watch somebody else's program. So the more sensational they can be, the better for them, right? So they sell you fear. Now, this sounds like some kind of conspiracy theory, which I don't believe in, but it kind of is true. So let's say we've got this product. It's the most expensive product you're ever going to buy. You got to think about it. But now we've got people telling us, well, the interest rate's this, and then the inflation's that. You go to buy eggs, and they're more expensive than they were 2 years ago. It just it follows you around like a dark cloud, right? And we all feel it. Yeah. Everyone feels it because there's this sort of consensus and groupthink that happens. It says you shouldn't be buying that right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So now we're all following around this.
Well, it's a lack of confidence in the marketplace right now.
Right.
But also, inflation had a big impact on that as well because people just can't afford as much anymore.
They were
groceries are high.
Well, their disposable income was shrinking. Everyone came out of COVID. Right. I think a lot of people lined their pockets during COVID because they didn't drive and didn't do this, and they put pools in their backyards, and they probably got into debt. And then inflation hits right on the end of it. So it's kind of a double whammy. And then you get into the point where now you're at a certain age where you got to move out of mom and dad's house. Well, salaries have not increased.
What is that age now? 40, 45?
In Italy, I think it's 52. But yeah, if you've ever been there, you can see it.
Okay.
They're all in the cafes all day. But anyways, you know, they have to move forward with their lives, right? And their salaries have not kept pace with this. But at the same time, they haven't necessarily planned for it either. So they don't have savings, et cetera. So what the developer does in response to this is they see this happening and they pull back. They sit on the land. They do things like rezoning. They go back and they increase the height. They change the shape of the building and stuff like that. And they just kind of buy time and invest in the project for the future, right? So they, you know, because zoning takes a year and a half, site plan approval takes another year. So you're 2.5 years anyway. Mm-hmm. So all of this stuff is happening in the background. So now we're all sitting around waiting for somebody to move. I mean, literally. So what complicates it in addition to that is that between the consumer and the product, which is the house, there's another product you have to buy. You have to buy money from the bank. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you got to first buy money from the bank, which is your first product. You use that product to now buy the house, which is your second product, and the one that you really want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you have to go to the bank. Well, the interest rates are high, but by the way,
they're not that high.
Not that high.
No.
And when you look historically, when I got married, we paid 11% in mortgages.
Yeah.
People, you tell them, but no, it was 11%.
Yeah, I think there were times in the 80s that was up to 20% or something like that. Yeah. Late 80s, early 90s.
Now, you could still afford a house because your salary wasn't that far behind it, but the interest rates were high. So they've got to buy money at a high interest rate. Like banks are not necessarily letting that go right now, okay? Because they don't see the competition yet. They don't see the buyers yet. So they're not really motivated to lower their interest rates, really, are they?
No,
not yet.
No, not yet.
So it's not up to them to stimulate the whole thing. So then the developer on his side has a complication. The product that he wants to build first gets in, there's something else gets in the way. He has to buy the land first. Mm-hmm. So in both sides, there's something that in between the actual exchange. So the developer has to buy the land. The land prices are extremely high because of Toronto's growth. Then they have to go to the market and get what they want on a per square foot basis in the sales.
Yep.
They got to meet somebody on the other side, which is the buyer. The buyer has to go to the bank first, secure and qualify for a mortgage, and then come to the table and say, I want to buy that condo unit from you. Mm-hmm. So you can see all of the intricacies of this pattern that has to be perfect. And we've had it for a long time.
And the developer also has to borrow money in construction, which is not as cheap as it used to be.
Right. Trades are becoming scarce because of retirement, so we're bringing trades in from other countries, et cetera, through our growth in the population. So they're coming on board, but they're not cheap.
Yeah.
And they got to make a living. So construction costs are still high, land costs are still high, borrowing costs are still high.
And development charges are very high still.
Development charges are very high. So what do we all do? The entire private sector now looks at the public sector and says, you guys got to stimulate this. Okay. Really? What are they going to do? They only have so many weapons to use in this fight.
Yeah.
So this will clear out because what I see is increase in demand. Growing populations in all city centers, there's an increase in demand. But in addition to that, there's an increase in supply. If you go to urban Toronto, every week, almost every day, 5 towers here, 6 towers there. This guy had 25 stories. He went back and got 38. I mean, we've got an enormous amount of supply that's ready to come to the market. There isn't one. So when it comes...
It's going to come fast and furious.
And the construction price will go
way up again.
So we're not going to solve this problem quickly or easily. Mm-hmm. Real estate guys are saying survive through 25.
So I see a lot of developers are also pivoting to rental. Do you have clients like that?
Tons. Right now where our focus is, apart from the hotel sector where we're active, is the missing middle. Is the big buzz phrase right now. So projects where you're building 10 units. Infill.
Mike, write this down. The missing middle.
The missing middle, yeah. So
Got it?
Got it.
Yeah, he's memorized, I can tell. So
Missing middle.
yeah, 10 units and lower on an infill site, you don't have to go to site plan approval.
And that's in Toronto?
That's everywhere. I'm seeing it in Barrie. I'm seeing it in Kitchener. I'm seeing it in Toronto, yeah.
Yeah, that's
But you see it outside the city though, because the land prices are lower, right? But yeah, and there are 3 stories.
Mm-hmm.
One of the projects we're looking to do actually is on the street I used to live on in Toronto.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're taking these older homes and they're replacing them with similar building forms.
Yeah, but
3
there's
stories.
There's 6 units.
10
or
10
10
units,
units.
yeah.
10 units.
10 units.
The missing middle.
The missing middle. And
I'd like to see one of those designs. Would you
no,
care to share that?
No, it's top secret. I can't. You have to wait.
You'd have to
till-
kill
No,
you.
I-
shouldn't you?
Yeah, of course. For
I,
5.
I demand.
For 5.
Let's
Oh,
see
okay.
it.
Well, for
I
5.
demand
bucks.
to see it.
If I may, Nick, this explanation we're getting from Rod, I'm not in your industry. I found that very clear and concise. That was a great explanation of what's happening right now in this market.
Well, if you sit back and
Good
look
guess.
at it, everyone sits there and they wax poetic about this all day long, but it's really just about supply and demand, what the product is, what's in the way. But the number one problem that the developer and the marketplace, the purchaser, have is fear.
Yeah, fair. And also, there's the price. People are saying, why should, prices are going to come. They're waiting.
No.
Some are waiting.
Yeah, but
They're
in
on the
Toronto, they've been
sidelines.
waiting forever.
But prices have come down. They've
Yeah.
come down by 10%.
They have.
So if you look at this, inventory, and inventory is high too.
Mm-hmm.
So you have inventory, you have prices coming down. Where would a buyer go right now? Maybe look in the resale market. Maybe maybe those developer new projects are too expensive relative to what's in the inventory pool right now. So that could be a small factor, not a big one, but a small factor.
But we are working with some developers who don't have that fear. They're very optimistic. They're very positive. They're looking at their price points and they're going, I'm okay at $750 a square foot. And they make their performance work. And I'm going, great. I want to hook up with that guy, because those are the people that are going to pull us forward. And there is this too. At some point, the heart makes the decision for the purchaser, not the mind. They just go, I'm done. I can't stay here. I got to move. I got to buy this. I got, enough of this bullshit. That's what they ultimately do. They just say, look, I'll figure it out. 5%,
But another
off 3%, whatever the mortgage is, I'll figure it out. And they just do it.
But there's another factor. We have like a big investor pool that fueled Toronto's growth in the 2000s, and that's gone.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is.
Is it coming back? I'm not sure if it is.
Well, if it comes back, it'll be in the I guess in the stream of foreign investment, but it's somewhat restricted now.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, I'm not an expert in this stuff, but there's only a wealthy guy only has so much money to hand around. Okay. And at some point he's going to limit his investment, like we all do. If you go to the stock market, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to invest this amount. And they all do that. And by the way, there's not that many of them.
no,
It's not like there's 4,000 or 5,000 of them. There isn't. So, it has to be the healthiest economy for housing is a purchaser or buyer driven market.
No, for sure. Those are the best projects too. And and obviously we're going to see some tariffs come into play on Saturday.
Apparently tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. Are you a 51st state proponent?
No.
Well, you hesitated.
Well, I'll tell you why, because I went to school in Michigan for 2 years.
No.
And Canadians are very different. We are very different from Americans. We share a common bond in that we both speak predominantly English, but our value systems are very different. Canadians are far more international in their scope. We see ourselves as a part of something. I think that Americans can see themselves as the center of something. Mm-hmm. We see ourselves as a part, and that's a completely different perspective. I value everything America has to offer, but I don't think we're buying what they're selling. I don't need to be an American citizen.
What about Kevin O'Leary? He's
well.
Did you go to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring?
No, I would. I don't believe that bullies should be leaders.
Yeah.
I think that a good leader is somebody who surrounds themselves with excellence and not thinks they're the excellent one in the group.
Mm-hmm.
That's not leadership. That's just, I don't know. I hesitate to say it, but it is sounding more like a dictatorship to me.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't think we don't need these tariffs right now. We don't need that headache.
No,
the Canada economy is not very good right now to begin with.
It would be the third strike. Number one was pandemic. Number two is inflation. And now you got this on top of it. At some point, people are going to go, that's it, I'm done. And we have an enormous population that's in the baby boom generation. And they're just going to say, that's it, I'm done.
Right.
And so you're going to see business leaders just go, I'm going to close up. Yeah, I'm going to close up shop. So
it's not worth it for me anymore.
Yeah, especially if their market is just, not there, or it's too expensive to do business. I think you'll see that because it doesn't get fun.
And that's going to affect their confidence, and you're going to have a lot of more fear in the marketplace.
More fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not like you're buying, Starbucks coffee. You go, it's only $8, $4. It's no big deal. But you're buying a house. It's like $800,000, $900,000, over $1 million.
Right.
You go, wow, I really be careful because I'm scared to death. I have to tell you though, the world seeks a balance. We all make these decisions every single day about our own lives and our own finances, and yet at the same time, it always tends to work out.
Sometimes.
It tends to.
Sometimes.
So I if you're sitting there on the fence out there and you're not sure about buying something, at some point you just got to jump in the water and start swimming. I mean,
so to the audience there you have it from Rod Rowbotham.
Yes, the expert in absolutely nothing.
Go out and buy your house. Don't wait. Forget about fear.
Yes.
And buy a house. Buy a house or a condo.
Well, Rod said it right. He made a comment earlier about people end up making that decision with their heart. Usually at the end of the day, because this is not strictly an investment, right? This is not where do I put my which stocks do I buy or whatever. This is a home, right? This is where you hang your hat. This is where you raise your kids. This is your neighborhood, your community. So at some point, there's these benefits beyond financial investment.
Well, don't forget, you have people that have to buy something.
Yeah.
So that market still exists. You have people who want to buy something because they've got enough money. Mm-hmm. They don't have to worry about that. Maybe it's downsizing a house that they already have. Prime example, we're doing 60 on Broadway. Mm-hmm. That's 60onbroadway.com in Orangeville.
Oh, yeah.
And a guy from Grenada, I'm not going to mention him by name, but he has a house in Orangeville or in Caledon. Mm-hmm. He's going to sell it and he's going to buy the condo there.
Yeah.
Because he's out of the country most of the time, and it makes a lot of sense, and he comes back in summers and whatnot. And that's what he decided to do. So that's a different type of buyer. There's buyers like that all the time. Even in a tough economy, you're probably going to get some empty nesters who want to downsize.
Yeah.
They want to take their equity out now.
My parents are doing it right now.
There you go.
Now. Yeah. They're moving from a 3-bedroom condo to a 1-bedroom. Actually, I think it's a 2-bedroom condo. And they're 82.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you why the heart makes those decisions. And it's because, and this is why I'm proud to be an architect in the residential sector. I look at these buildings and I think to myself, yes, I want it to be a part of the city. Yes, I want it to be iconic in some way. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I go a step further with it and I say, I want to create somewhere where people can have memories. And that happens inside these condos. They're not just these autonomous little units, a shoebox stuck in the sky, right? They're places where people build their lives and they have memories in there. And that's what people want to do. So they eventually they sit at this point in their lives and they go, I got to get on with my life. I want to move forward. I want my own memories in my own space. And that's what I think ultimately happens.
Right. So tell us what sets OneSpace apart from other architectural firms. I mean, it's let's be. I mean, in a way, I can relate with this one because you do try to set yourself apart. Mm-hmm. However, everybody kind of does a very similar service.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what sets one dentist apart from another? I think it's the way they treat you. I think it's the way they engage with you, the way they care for you, the way they sort of look ahead and kind of map out what they're going to do with your dental health, that kind of thing. So, and the way that sort of translates to me is I kind of pride myself on being very business minded, and I try to get into the client's head in terms of what are they looking for as a business. What are the things that they're not telling you that they need to accomplish in a business? So I try to guide them through it so that they're constantly making money. There's no point in building a building unless you're making money. Absolutely not.
Of course.
Like, please, you'd be far better off to retire and keep your money than to engage in the risk of building. That's a huge risk.
It is.
It's not lightweight.
It is a huge risk.
So, what are they looking for? What kind of profit margins do they need? They need a building that looks great. Sure. That's the starting point. All this stuff that architects talk about, so my vision, and that's the starting point. That's not the end. You're supposed to start there. You're supposed to provide excellence. You're supposed to provide good-looking buildings that work, that fit within a community. Mm-hmm. But go beyond that. Now you got to make the thing make money for that guy.
Yeah, that's there are a lot of architects who don't look at projects like that or clients like that. Either they just don't have the knowledge of it, and I think you have that, because you come from that background, right?
Yeah.
You worked in-house with a developer. You know what the business model is for developers, and you've got so many clients you've learned probably over the years. You've been working with Camerons for centuries now.
Well,
almost. But so I think that's a good perspective, and I think that's something that would interest myself in working with a firm like onespace. Yeah. So, because you're going to help me achieve my goals.
Well, and there's
my business goals.
Well, and I've always, I probably say it way too much, but there are certain metrics you have to hit in a condo design.
Yes, of course.
And if you don't hit those performance metrics, it is an inefficient building and it's an expensive building. And a lot of architects that are doing condos nowadays came from smaller housing projects like townhomes. And they're getting into mid-rise, high-rise. It's not the same part of the building code.
No.
And it is risky stuff. And they're not understanding the net to gross ratios, to get really direct and pointed about a comment. They don't understand the efficiency of a floor plate. It should be 83, 85%, kind of thing. They don't understand what's the maximum amount of square footage you should have for a parking space below ground or below grade. You have to be able to look at this from a very scientific standpoint and say, once you put the building together like that, then the fun part's the outside, the exterior, the volume, the materials. That's the fun part.
So do you think they should make condos more interesting? Because, you go to each condominium unit, like honestly, so there's a part of me that would rather just build houses to some degree because they're nicer spaces, they're bigger, they're more geared towards living. These condos, some of these condos, you walk into them and you're just like, there's nothing really to it. They're all the same.
A lot of it is a formula.
Is there anything innovative that developers can do to change that?
Probably. Off the top of my head, I don't know if anyone's really committed to doing that. I mean, you do see developers committing to sustainability and other things like that, which has its own interest, and it does appeal to a certain sector of the market. Like there are certain people that will buy if you're broadcasting that. Other people don't care.
Yeah, lots of people.
But can we come up with a new kitchen? Can we come up with a new bathroom? In time, yeah, but a lot of these things are probably dependent on how people expect to use a space. And as Canadians go, we kind of walk into a kitchen and go, well, where's the sink and where's the, so we don't really.
What about a hotel style lifestyle? Like, you go stay at these amazing hotels in Yorkville or something like that, and
they're out there.
They're amazing. They're furnished on the inside, looks amazing. And there's a cost to it, obviously.
Yeah.
But you have this fully furnished, amazing space. Maybe that would make it a little bit more interesting.
Well, but people want to people want to put their stamp on everything. You know, like they want to move into a space and have pictures of their family, and they want to have that.
You can do that too.
Yeah, but I don't know if
we'll give them a space on the wall, 10 by 10.
Give them one space on the wall. Yeah,
one space.
Yeah,
unlimited.
Put all of your pictures here within this dotted line. Thank you, and have a nice.
It's just a digital.
No, but I think that's well, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of a good concept because you feel like you're getting something out of that stage.
It is an interesting concept. I've seen various products that would kind of speak to what you're asking, like these balcony design things, which are vertical, and then you push them down and they fold out into a balcony on the outside of the building. They have a glass floor. I've seen that. I've seen window wall or exterior window systems where, you know, they can be like a screen where you hit a button and somehow there's this frosted image that shows up and you can cast images onto it. That's kind of interesting stuff. Very 22nd century kind of thinking. But we typically, for 1,000 years, walk into a kitchen and want to cook. And so, you know, whether it's an open fire, whether it's a stove or whether it's a wood burning stove, we want a fire. We want some place where there's to cook. So can you really shake up a kitchen? I don't know. So certain expectations come that way. But basically what you see nowadays is just different ways of selling the same thing. Just a nicer refrigerator that, you know, you push a button, you can see the inside of it, that kind of stuff.
Do you see any new trends in the marketplace right now? In terms of design?
We're getting away from carpet and we're using laminates, things like that. We used to be using wood, like real wood on the floors. In condos, we don't do it anymore because
it's all engineered flooring typically.
Yeah, the dimensional variances.
Well, we had issues with the threshold and the half-inch bump from the corridors for handicap accessibility.
Right.
So we stopped using those. So I remember we had to figure out, we had different threshold heights.
Yeah.
For one common corridor. It was insane.
Yeah.
You had these huge thresholds. You'd have to put a slope on it.
Yeah.
And that's the way we used to deal with it back in the day. And then everybody said, okay, get rid of, like, no one's using this anymore. 3/4 inch hardwood.
Yeah.
Forget it. Because you also had to put plywood down.
That's right.
To nail it down.
Yeah. It was dimensionally unstable. It would move around with humidity. And
yeah, we learned a few things from those days. But so not much new in the marketplace. Are you is sustainability playing a role in your designs right now?
It kind of weaves into the conversation, I guess, through the back door, so to speak, and that is that, you know, there's certain green standards we have to meet with the City of Toronto, for example. Like the building has to perform a certain way for energy and, that kind of thing. So, but what's happened is when LEED first came out, which I think is an American.
It is American.
Yeah, it's an American device. So it came out and it had influence in Canada, and we did a LEED building. Yeah, and it's a great effort. I find that what happened over time was that all of the manufacturers of these very inefficient products started redesigning them anyway, so they became more efficient. So it's kind of easy to do it in a way now, or easier. The sad thing about sustainability to me is I don't care how much you want to do about it in Canada, because when it comes to how the globe contributes, we can do everything perfect here, and it means nothing.
It means nothing because not all the other developing nations aren't following.
They don't care.
Yeah, I thought that for years is like because you visit other countries and they're just trying to put food on their table.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't care about stuff.
I was in a conference years ago, and I think it was one of the OAA conferences, and it was in Ottawa. So I go there to participate in that, and we're now in a room with maybe 500 architects in there, and I think I can't remember who it was at the time, but it was a fairly commonly known architect stands up, and we're all waiting for some words of inspiration, and basically it was a downer. He just said, "Do what you want, man, but we're a drop in the bucket. Like, nobody's going to, it's not going to change overnight if we all do this here. Yeah. We're still getting global warming. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just too much. The population's too high. We're too, every nation is pretty much in the crux of, either developing or they're fully developed.
Well, every nation takes care of itself. You know, it's not like there's an air supply for each country. They don't. You know, we get air from everybody, and we give ours to everybody. It's all one atmosphere.
But it's so deflating, like even to hear this right now, that it doesn't matter what we do in this country because, you know, China's got 1.3 billion people or whatever, and they're not following suit. It just sounds like we should do something, even if it doesn't make a difference, because we can do something.
Well, yeah.
Or is that the Pollyanna?
No, I believe that there should be some optimism and perseverance.
There has to be.
Because I'm bummed out over here, Nick.
Yeah.
You're bummed out?
Yeah. Because, you know, I try to take the bike instead of the car, and I'm doing all these things, and it makes me feel...
That's good.
It is good, but it's not making a difference because we're all sharing the damn air.
No. It's because if there's only one of you, if you drop out, then other people are going to drop out. So... Collectively, there's probably 1,000 mics, however scary that might be.
Yes.
But
army of mics.
Well, listen.
But I mean, I think. Listen, it's all about each individual has to carefully consider sustainable design and development.
Right.
So.
Okay. So let's just.
I need Rod to, on the out here. He's got to give me some optimism.
I'll give you optimism. I think it's important that you act locally. I do. But. On the sarcastic and I guess the negative side of my personality, I would say, look, the pandemic proved that the entire globe can't focus on a damn approach to anything.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. It proved it. We had anti-vaxxers, we had pro-vaxxers, we had people that had hidden their basements. You know, nobody was focused, and we had one test and we failed it. It was, hey guys, I'm going to throw something at all of you. I don't care where you're from. I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to see how you guys come together as a community, a global community. And guess what happened? Divided everybody, and those guys got drugs first, and we got them second. And we don't care.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a complete failure.
It wasn't a failure, but I mean the test.
I mean,
we failed the test, though.
We still need an alien invasion to it's true. I don't want to broadcast that because this might end up in space and it'll be.
Is that so? We're doomed. In other words,
well,
we failed the test, and where was the silver lining?
He's right. Like this was your test, and when the aliens do arrive, right, from whatever galaxy,
we're screwed.
We're all gonna.
Well, I'm gonna join. I'm gonna join the aliens.
Yeah, you might be better. Well,
I'm gonna join the aliens.
Well, the aliens are already here. They're
around you guys up.
I was worried you might join the aliens.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd fit in though. It'd be okay. But
I'm gonna round you guys up.
It's true that we had a common enemy.
Yeah.
And okay, now we have another common enemy. It's called global warming, and they can't even agree. Right. You got that young woman yelling at everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, she's not wrong, but she's sitting there going, "What's wrong with all you adults?
Right.
Can't you get your heads together?" No, I got to go and take a jet plane to Aruba tomorrow. I'm burning all kinds of carbon in the process. Oh, it's okay, great.
Well, I mean, you take it. It's all about everybody's personal goals too, and it's like some people just want a better life for themselves, and it's not important.
Yeah.
They just want to live. They want to make money. They want to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, of course. Well,
and there may be less people who are considering the environment. Less people considering, how should I participate in this?
I think that,
and I'm speaking from I don't know
your own position.
Maybe well, listen, we're all trying to get ahead, and for decades, like I don't throw toxic chemicals into the water.
No.
But there were people who were doing that
in the 1970s.
Years ago, yeah. It was commonplace.
Yeah, commonplace.
I mean, that's just common sense, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Should be, but I think
and those corporations are contributing to a lot of this stuff. It's not really like individual. Like we are, always the people are always trying to do something about things.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people who actually care.
It has to be. It has to. I mean, if you want to see significant change about global warming, about anything like that, you really have to see it from a grassroots.
Well, I think the big issue is innovation.
Yeah.
If we can become more innovative, because even some of the green technologies that are out there, they're not very efficient. They're not very effective.
No, everything has a cost. I mean, if you want to do wind generation, okay, you put up a windmill on your property, but now you've got birds that fly into the damn thing and die, and apparently there's this vibration that occurs in the ground, and the dew worms don't like that. So all around it, things don't grow properly. I mean, you hear about this all the time, and solar's not that great, but. And then if you listen to people that are advocating oil and gas, okay, they're not wrong either,
you still need oil and gas. You have to compete in the world.
Well, I mean, how many things do you know that are made from petroleum?
So many products.
But you're going to just stop it like tomorrow?
You can't.
You can't.
So we're on this course, and but we have guys like Mike.
Mike's on his bike.
We're riding his bike.
Well, if we need everyone to be like Mike, and although I will tell you, it would take me a lot longer to get to the office every day if I had to bike it. I would weigh about 110 pounds, though. That would be
good for your heart, good for your mental health too.
Yeah, I would think.
You're only 130 pounds now.
Maybe by the time I got there, I would just turn around and come home because it took me 4 hours.
So it's interesting because we just segued into like the industry and the future vision.
Mm-hmm.
What about things like advancements in AI? 3D modeling, smart building.
Mm-hmm.
Are you running across AI right now?
Oh yeah.
And where?
We noticed it first in rendering software, where you could tell it certain things and it would give you this moody representation of your building, and then you would change it to this representation of your building. So it was actually pretty interesting.
So that's in terms of rendering and stuff like that?
Rendering, not designing. God help us if this thing starts to design buildings for people. Like, really? We're going to let that happen? That's like, how confident would you be to get in a car that doesn't have a driver and you're on the 401 doing 120? I would not be very happy about that. It has no decision-making capacity. It might have 47 cameras.
Yeah.
But who's deciding anything? So and I see this, architects get very excited. Oh, look what I did. This thing is, and it generates these really crazy designs that you can't build, like curved glass and stuff. Like, oh, okay, well, it's cool, but this is not the 25th century. You want to do curved glass. You're talking about Star Trek stuff like transparent aluminum. I mean, it's not there. Yeah. So to indulge in this stuff is interesting, but you got to come back to reality at some point.
I think AI has its uses, and but I'm also concerned that we have an over reliance on technology.
Oh yeah.
And when something happens, that's when you realize how vulnerable you are.
Well, go into a restaurant and watch how many people, two people sitting at a table and they're both looking at their phones. Because they can't put it down and stop engaging in the world.
Exactly.
Kids these days are particular victims of this. I mean, I remember the days before the cell phone. You'd have to talk to somebody at dinner time.
Yeah, when Rogers went out, like we had nothing to do. I locked myself up in the bedroom.
So Rogers goes out. I'm in the States when that happened. I'm in New York State, and I got to get down to Philadelphia, okay, to a specific address. Now, I'm using my cell phone to guide me.
Right.
We wake up in the morning in this hotel in Syracuse or wherever it was, and I'm going, how are we going to get there?
Right. Get the pearlies out of the briefcase.
And I'm actually thinking...
gas station.
I guess we have to go to a gas station and buy a pearlies.
Because that's what we used to do.
God help you if they still have them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went, oh, wait a second. I'll just use the system on the car. I forgot about it. Because I have you have
your GPS on your car.
Yeah, you have a system in the car, plus you have your own cellular thing.
Right.
So, thank God. But I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's one of the things we found out about Canada with Trump. And I hate to bring this up again, but you realize where we're vulnerable. It's too much trade with U.S., too much reliance in terms of the U.S. economy. So that's something that we should do something about.
Yeah.
And then there's also this: we don't have a military, and we don't defend ourselves.
Well, yeah, and we have one of the biggest, northern unguarded borders ever, right?
And it could be scary.
Yeah, it's not that far away from anybody else up there.
And we're relying too much on the U.S., and that's something to be said.
And we take the clean, easy access to drinking water for granted.
Oh boy, yeah.
I turn a tap, I've got clean, delicious water unlimited supply, essentially. We take that for granted.
I don't know if you
I
guys
take a lot for granted, I'm sure.
I don't know if you guys ever saw this program, but years ago there's this documentary that was done, and they tried to study what disaster would be and would have the highest impact on people. Did you ever see that?
No.
Okay.
But I know where this is going. Yeah.
So they went through, nuclear war. Well, nuclear war. Okay, sure. Natural disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes. Okay, sure. And then they came down to one thing. They said water.
Yeah.
No water supply in a city. Everyone's got to go home. There's no bathrooms. There's no bathrooms at home, but, you can't go to an office tower if the water's not working. So you don't have any drinking water. You don't have any way to go to use the toilets, all that other stuff. So by the time you're done, water is everything. And we have enormous
amounts of water.
Enormous amounts of water. So when the aliens come, they're going to take our water.
Yeah, or other countries. Or other countries.
You told me we were going to close on an optimistic note. No.
Okay, so let's get to some, it was a very intense but very interesting conversation so far. Fun and perspective. You could redesign any iconic building. Could be in Toronto or anywhere in the world. Which one would it be?
The one behind you on that poster.
What the hell? Tower. The CN Tower. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you know why? I think our technology would generate a taller tower nowadays.
Oh, wow.
And I would love to do something like that.
Well, speaking of towers, and, I just did write a book on Battle of the Skyscrapers.
Yeah.
So we study the history of the skyscraper, starting its roots in the United States.
Chicago.
And then it actually, if you look at it, it follows the money. The skyscrapers, the highest skyscrapers, follow the money.
Yeah.
So it goes out to Asia, and then it circles back to the Middle East. And now we have the tallest towers in the Middle East right now. The Burj Khalifa, and then we have the the Jeddah Towers in Saudi Arabia. At least that's under construction again.
800 meters or something.
Yeah, and it's 840 or something like that.
Yeah.
But then you look, and then I did a study here in Canada, and we've barely cracked 300 meters. There's only two towers right now that are competing for the top height in Toronto.
Right.
So we're not very ambitious.
We don't have the population to support that kind of height yet, but I think it's coming. I mean, since I moved here, it's changed dramatically. I mean, I still drive downtown and think, oh yeah, there's a parking lot over there. I've been there you go there for years and you drive. Oh damn it, there's a building there now and they want $30 an hour. But the whole thing about wealth and building height started a lot longer ago than I think you might know. If you've ever been to San Gimignano or Bologna in Italy, they used to build towers there out of masonry. And these towers were representative of your wealth. So wealthy people would build these towers really, really tall, and then the guy next door would get money and he'd start doing his. And you see it all over the place there. So this is going back to the 15th century or something.
Yeah.
So it's money and height.
It's money and height and power.
Yeah. We haven't changed much.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. And if you were to say, what is your one biggest design mistake, what would that be?
Somebody's going to get so offended by my answer. It's just
well, you have to be honest. That's building Toronto Skyline. If you're not honest, we're going to rough you out, you up before you leave
and get out. Yeah. I'll tell you that I'm not going to name the building. I'm going to tell you the process that I didn't enjoy that resulted in something I regret. Listen, creativity doesn't belong to architects, right? It's a human characteristic, a human trait. But when you go into a dentist chair and they say, open your mouth, I think I see a cavity, and they poke at it and say, does that hurt? And you go, yeah. And they say, well, I think you have a cavity. And the guy says, and you say, no, it's not. It's not a cavity. What are you talking about? It's just a thing in my tooth. It's not a cavity. Don't be stupid. Okay. Sometimes we get into these processes as designers and architects where we've got that guy in the chair. Okay? And he's sitting across from you and he grabs your pen. He says, this is what I want and this is where you're going to do it. And now you're a draftsman. You're actually not solving his problem.
Do I know this person?
No.
Okay. I think I know someone like that.
Yes, you probably do. But they take the the initiative to tell you how to do to do your job. And now they took the wheels right off your car. You have no ability to help them anymore. You're not really looking out for their business needs because apparently they just gave you permission to spend more money. Mm-hmm. So this process leads to a very regretful outcome 9 times out of 10, because you don't feel that you're engaged by the design process, nor do you feel proud of the product when it's done.
Right.
And this is the thing that
that's the biggest mistake.
Yeah, and it's permanent. Like, these things are built for a while. You know, they don't tear them down.
Now I want to see what the address. You're going to tell me offline?
I will. Yes.
Okay.
But yeah.
I think you hit it on the nail. So creativity, what makes great creativity is not just yours, but everyone's.
It's a collaboration.
It's a collaboration.
It should always be a collaboration.
You're there to take the idea from the client, from the developer. Mm-hmm. Maybe they have a vision. Maybe they don't. Maybe you're doing 99% of the creative work.
Right.
But there are some people who know what they want too. However, those people have to give some space for the architect to collaborate, to work on something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what do you need them for?
Well, exactly. I think that the best projects are the ones that are produced where the team is focused, there's strong leadership, and everyone's listening to one another.
Yeah, that's the best teams for sure.
These are not inexpensive exercises. These are 70 million, 80 million. You know, it's not frivolous. It's not light money. Take it seriously.
Yeah.
You know, developers can get in their own way all day long by doing exactly what I just said. They hire all these guys and then they don't listen to them.
Yeah. They insult them, to be honest.
Well, yeah. And at some point you disengage.
Yeah. I've seen. Well, you know what? Screw this guy. I'm not gonna offer anything anymore.
Well, yeah. And they don't want to look, you know, if I don't know something and I'm in a room with a bunch of engineers, I don't care about looking dumb. I just go, listen, explain this to me, like that line in that movie. Explain this to me like I'm a 4-year-old, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just explain it to me. And then I'm going to be energized by your answer, and I'm going to learn something. And next time I may not have to ask you that question.
You cannot be afraid to ask questions if you don't know something. You have to ask questions. You have to do it all the time. And it could be like, you know, sometimes people communicate incorrectly. They use an abbreviation you've never heard before, but you know what it is.
Yeah.
He said, you say, what does ASDF stand for?
Yeah.
And it's he tells you, and then right away you know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's important to make sure that you understand everything that's happening. Ask questions.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask questions, because, you know, we have to in order to get the best product out there. Us as construction managers, and
there's just no single individual on the team that is going to be able to do everything. There shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's like a symphony. You know, you know your instrument, you know how to play it. You have sheet music in front of you for your instrument. That's it. You do not know how to do that guy's job over there on the viola.
And you know what? The thing is, everybody is different. They come from different backgrounds, and you try to get sometimes you have to try to get the best out of people.
Oh yeah, you
have to
play the strengths,
and that's being a good manager and a good people person, and understanding people's different personalities and different cultures.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of things that we have to contend with here in Canada and probably all over the world. But so last but not least, and this has been a great conversation, Rod. Mike is drooling right now.
Poor Mike.
Why am I drooling? Great conversation.
Great conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why you're drooling. So what's next for onespace Unlimited? Anything exciting or any innovations in the works? Is it more of the same? Tell us.
Well, we opened an office in Calgary about almost a year ago. And
congratulations.
So, yeah, thank you. And we're very interested in the Calgary market. Both of my daughters live there, so we kind of have a connection to the city now.
That's good.
We got a lot of people that we know out there, so we're growing fond of it. But most of the architects that are there, I guess they tend to be smaller companies. and most of the architects that are there that are doing multifamily res, like mid-rise, are all from Toronto. So I would like to try to approach this from, yes, we're from Toronto, but I know you guys standpoint. I know what you're looking for. I know your culture. I know how heavily dependent they are on oil and gas industries. So, try to fit in a little bit that way. I think that's important. And we're focusing a little bit less on maybe Toronto alone now, and we're looking at other communities. We've got projects in North Bay, Thunder Bay, all over the place now. So
cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice to go into a smaller community, and the other one, Belleville. So you go into a smaller community, and sometimes they look at you like, oh yeah, sure, you're from Toronto.
Big Toronto guys.
Especially Calgary, sometimes they say that too. Oh, you're from Toronto. Yeah.
Well, they hate Toronto outside of Toronto.
Well, Toronto hates Toronto.
That's for sure.
That's true.
I mean, God, we can. Oh, you're from Scarborough. Oh, you're from the beach. Oh no, it's called the Beaches. Oh, no, it's not. It's just stupid territorialism, in my opinion. We're all Canadians, aren't we?
Yeah, but I think that's true. I actually introduce myself in small municipalities and say, hey, I'm from Toronto, and you really want to fit in with the local community down there.
Well,
and you want to sort of approach it as, because you come from a more knowledgeable, we're building all the best buildings in Toronto. And
more exposure, more
experience. You have to kind of teach these municipalities along the way.
Yeah.
In some cases, they know what they're doing. They're very professional.
Yeah.
In other cases, just it's mind-boggling what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say any names, but, maybe your hometown. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've had some difficulties there.
Yeah, that's true.
So I just want to say, so that's great that you're doing something in Calgary. That's cool. I want to do something maybe in Miami. I like this sort of Eastern time zone. You never lose time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if you do work in Calgary, you get a cowboy hat. I do have.
Is it a 3-hour flight?
It's 3 and a bit. Oh, I think it's longer going out than it is coming back because of wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just
get a cowboy hat?
Nick, you'd look good in a cowboy hat.
Yeah, you would look good in a cowboy hat.
Oh, okay.
Well, you got the pickup truck. You already there?
I'm getting scared, guys.
There's a whole process to getting a cowboy hat. I learned this because, my kids and my wife, they got me a cowboy hat for Christmas a couple of years ago in Calgary. So we have to go to Smithville's hat place downtown. Okay, you go there, and they all start the same shape, these hats. They have the rim, and they have the big, like a half dome.
Wow.
They all start the same, and you're going, well, I want one that looks like Kevin Costner in Yellowstone, right? And they look at you like, nah, I don't think so. You're not that guy. But then they shape it.
Oh, they shape it.
And there's things like the way it goes up like this.
Yeah.
That's so you don't hit the rope doesn't hit your hat when you're trying to wrangle. I sound like a cowboy. I'm not. Okay, I play one on TV. But I mean, honestly,
it's like City Slickers.
Yeah. That's about. I'm the Billy Crystal here in the conversation, but seriously, you don't hit the hat with the rope. That's
wow.
Oh really? And then there's a pinch thing. And
I think I'll forego the hat. I'm going to go to Miami and I'm going to say hello to my little friend.
Yeah.
I think I can do that better.
That's a different character. Yeah, it's very, very different.
But this was a great honor. It was an amazing conversation. I truly enjoyed it. I think Mike is just. Now he's crying.
You're on a roll, Nick, with your guests, because I enjoyed Stephen Velasco as well last. I've been enjoying all your guests lately, and another good one today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come down here. And
the whole point is that we have an interesting conversation. We learn about something. I like this missing middle stuff. There's a lot of things we learned about today with Rod.
Yeah. And
it's about having some fun because we don't have too much fun in this industry.
You know what? I tell people that all the time. I say things like I don't take myself seriously, but I take what I do seriously.
Of course.
You can't take yourself too seriously. That leads to pretense. And pretense is all about you pretending to be something you're not. And I can't stand that. I really can't.
Yeah, it's not in myself either. You have to be authentic. I think people are more attracted to authentic people, and and you're definitely authentic because you're from Belleville. But
I got a foot in one side of the country and another foot in the other
Shout
side.
out to
There you go.
Belleville.
No, but
Yeah.
truly amazing, and thank you. Awesome time, and go ahead, Mike.
Thank you for listening to Building Toronto's Skyline, a podcast exploring the current state of Toronto's condominium industry. Proudly brought to you by Fusion Corp Developments, Inc. Please share, like, and subscribe. See you again in 2 weeks.